Hello and welcome to Two and a Half Brains. This is our new show, the weekly reality wrap up. We talk about the latest happenings on the reality shows that we watch, Survivor and The Amazing Race. We're going to talk all about them, break them all down, give you the highlights, give you the lowlights, talk about the big players, the big moments that happened in the episodes. Obviously, with two shows back to back, both 90 minutes, it's a lot to be able to put them both out in separate shows. So what we're doing this year, this season, is going ahead and recapping them all, both of them in one show. Talk all about them and go from there. Obviously, we're going to play around the format a little bit, see how it goes, and see what you guys like. Also, obviously, this is with you guys have we had our show talking about the things that are wrong with Survivor and things that they should do differently. So obviously we're both a little bit sour on Survivor. Jessica may not even be here on most of the Survivor episode, at least half of Survivor half of the episodes. But we're gonna talk all about it here, and not as thrilled to talk about it as I used to be. Obviously, I'm pretty down on it. But regardless, we will talk about it, break it down, and give you our takes and our opinions, and again, recap it, to say who did well, who didn't do well, and what we can look forward to, what we can predict going forward. So go ahead and be sure to subscribe to the show. You can look at our Facebook page, facebook.com/Pavement Road Prod, P-R-O-D, Pavement Road P-R-O-D. And that's on Facebook. You also can email the show directly to pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe right there on the YouTube channel as well. Share the post and tell your friends. This is the first show since we had the summer show a few weeks ago, talking about what some ideas to help fix Survivor to make it better. Obviously, there's been some good moments of the 40 so far since season 40. There's been a couple of good moments, but really not a good winner yet, and not a ton of memorable things that have happened. Obviously, the older seasons have been a lot better, and the 40s have been very much a letdown. But let's talk about it here. Let's try to stay as positive as we can, talking about the 90 minutes of Survivor, and then we'll talk about the 90 minutes of The Amazing Race as well here at the end. So we'll try to keep it to about 45 minutes to an hour weekly, and try to get out as quickly as possible. Obviously, the plan for now is to get them out on Thursday, the day after the episode, obviously, with our work schedules and a lot of traveling coming up this next couple of months, so maybe a little bit more difficult to do, to get out as urgently as we'd like to, but we'll get out to as soon as we can. So obviously, like I said, subscribe to don't miss them. When we do get it, you'll get it in your feed there. So let's go ahead and talk about the episode of Survivor, the premiere episode of Survivor. Obviously, a 3-tribe format as per the usual in recent seasons, and three teams of 6. The few things that were different. It's been a lot of the same. Obviously, Bruce is back. He's on the purple team again, and I guess thinking about it, the players in the season had seen Bruce's season, or at least as far as he got with hitting his head and being pulled from the game. So they may not have seen the next. They may not have seen season 44 all the way through. They've seen enough to see that Bruce was injured and pulled from the game. So Bruce is back. His tribe seems to be happy with him. But right off the get-go, I believe it was Emily from the one team, if she was orange or yellow, was not happy. He said he got his chance. He's got an advantage to being here in the game, going through all the preliminary stuff already. So he has an advantage in the game. So they should get rid of him basically. And he was saying, I haven't got really too far in the game. I just played for a few minutes basically. A day or so, I'm not any better off than anybody else. I'm just like you, basically. So I don't know. Obviously, there's a little bit of back and forth with that. So and again, and I believe it was Emily, the player, who didn't really buy that and was going back at Bruce a little bit, which wasn't a great look for somebody seeming to be a bit of a fan favorite. Having such a raw deal the first time, but again, kind of his own fault. He needs to learn to duck, but he's a taller guy too, so I guess that's part of it. On that same note, Bruce, obviously went back to his tribe, and he says, "Hey, I'm not gonna be the boss. I'm not gonna be in charge. You guys, if you need me, I'll be here, but I'm not gonna take charge or try to be in control." And of course, as soon as he said that, immediately within the 5 minutes, they have a super cut of him telling people what to do and explaining how things should work and what the different things they should do on Survivor. So obviously, some people just can't help not being in control. Some people just have to be in control, regardless of what's better for them or how they try to come off. The one cool thing about this episode was they had the one team had to compete. I guess all three teams competed for their supplies. It was a decent challenge right on the first initial opening challenge. And one team won. They got their supplies. Again, machete, pot, and flint. Maybe a little bit of rice. I don't really remember if they have rice or not. But then the other two teams didn't win, so they had to get an opportunity to compete for it. And the challenge to compete for, obviously, they had to pick 2 players from each team, from the losing teams, to go out and do this challenge. And it was brains and brawn challenge. It was they had to, like last time they got to pick which one they wanted to do, and then try to solve that one. In this case, they had to move 20 logs, heavy logs, from one end of the beach to the other, and then basically do a little puzzle with basically kind of like a key on a string, then move it through an obstacle course to get it out. And basically it was all maneuvering, on a table. Basically, it was on a table. They had to move through a bunch of bars. They had to try to move a key and navigate it through the obstacle course, or the maze, I guess you can say, on a table. And they got to work together on it and everything like that. The two teams were competing, and they said the interesting thing was the first team to complete it won their supplies. The second team to complete it won nothing. Which was, they had not done that before. Previous iterations of the show, of the seasons, they got to compete, and if they won, they got their stuff, and if they lost, they didn't get their stuff, but both had the opportunity to win their stuff. Also, they had to flip an hourglass. If the hourglass ran out before they were done, they also lost. So, and they had to, instead of getting to pick again brain or brawn, they had to pick basically do both. Savvy versus sweat. And in this case, neither team completed it in time, so neither team won their supplies. Which is very interesting. I like that wrinkle. That was one of the better things they've done in the episode. Add that wrinkle. Obviously they say you have to earn everything, but instead of making it easy, it's hard, and they can both win, or they can both lose, or one can win, one can lose, but they both can't win. And that sets one team up for failure. Back at the camp, Emily again was talking about how, hey, I think if they come back with nothing in their hands, that means they took the advantage instead of getting us our supplies. Which isn't really what they've done the last few seasons, but kind of, sort of. So she's very skeptical anyways. Obviously, she's skeptical of Bruce and not skeptical of her own tribe. So that tribe did really bad in the opening challenge. They started off pretty strong, but I think it was Brandon, the guy with the long hair. He got through the rowing, and he got to a ladder. Basically, had to climb up a rope ladder to get onto back onto the ship to do the puzzle at the end, and he just couldn't climb up the rope ladder. He just couldn't do it to get back up onto the boat. And he had a panic attack, and they had to have medical check him out because he was, I guess, having a panic attack. So then, obviously, he was struggling, and then Hannah, another player on his team, was struggling because she was like, "Oh, I don't want to sleep on bamboo, blah, blah." And they had all this bamboo already cut down, which is kind of like, I guess they don't have a machete, so they have to give them bamboo already cut down, but then why not give them a machete? Like, we're going to cut down the bamboo for you because you don't have a machete. We're not going to give you a machete, so we're going to give you bamboo. Or just give them a machete and let them do it. It makes very little sense. Like, you happen to stumble across this desert island with bamboo cut down for you to make a shelter, it's kind of silly. So Bruce's team won one of the immunities, so they survived. And then the other team, the red team, was dominating. They won the first challenge as well, and they won the immunity challenge. So you got the yellow team or orange, whatever they are, they lose and they have to go vote somebody out. So that's where that comes down to. So the challenges were fine, whatever. And then I think it was on the red team. The one guy found the Beware Advantage. And of course, everybody finds the Beware Advantage. They've seen the last couple seasons, and they know the Beware Advantage isn't necessarily easy. It's pretty hard. And yet they still just take it right away and go and don't even give it a second thought. It's like, maybe stop and think for like 10 seconds and see if it's actually worth it to risk your vote. You know you're going to risk your vote. And this one, they have to there's a code basically on their flag. Somebody knows that, like, I don't know, on the banner of their flag. And the Beware Advantage, you have to basically decode the message. And then you can get your idol, and then you get your vote back. Until you do that, you can't vote. So again, a little different. I don't mind it. I like the Beware Advantage to be pretty difficult, because obviously I want people actually not just Beware Advantage. I'm just gonna take it and not give it a second thought, because they always do that and they regret it, and then they work really hard to get their idol. I like that they don't just get idols; that they actually do something for them. But again, I don't love that making the Beware Advantage really easy, because I want there to be risk, and so that at least this one maybe has a little bit more risk. They're always changing up the Beware Advantage a little bit, so I don't mind that. I don't remember who that was that found that advantage. Austin, right? So he finds it and he's like, "Oh yeah, I gotta go do this." And then of course, that doesn't do it in time to be able to vote, which doesn't particularly matter. But yeah, so that's what happened there. So there's some standouts. The yellow team that was, or there's Reba and there's Lulu, and then there's another, I think the blue or purple, whatever the hell is Bruce's team. Red team is Reba, which is just like, what are we doing? Are we like, I don't know what we're doing here, but why are we naming it after country singers? That's weird. We run out of other fake words to use. Yeah, and so then there's that, and then there's Lulu again, which is just, I don't know, they had Zulu on the other season, so it's like just add an L in front of it, and it's the same thing. I don't know, whatever, but the whole thing, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But I think the one I think is it purple that had, or whatever, blue, whatever the hell they are, purple I think is, that had the women, 3 women working together. I think that was one that on Bruce's tribe, the 3 women were working together. But so obviously Lulu lose. They're an absolute disaster. There's this guy on the red team, Sifu, which is he's like a ninja in training or something weird. He says he does magic, which is like, of course you do magic, you loser. And then so the Lulu losers lose. Go figure. And then so Emily wants to vote out Caleb, who's the black guy, the other black guy. Exactly. And then I remember what the other name was, Sibiana, whatever her name was. Those who were doing those two did the Savvy and Sweat challenge, and they lost, and they went off together, so they seemed pretty tight. So Emily wanting to target them makes sense, but she's thinking that they just got an advantage in the game rather than getting them supplies, which isn't what happened. And she also seems, like I said, pretty negative in general, and she says she's negative in general. I think she's the one who said, I'd rather lose. I'd rather be voted out first and get to the end and lose, because she isn't here to not win first place, which is she almost was the first one voted out, so good for her. But they said they targeted her, and then they so I think most of the tribe wanted to target her. Some of the tribe wanted to target, I guess at least Emily wanted to target Caleb, which again, he's one of the stronger guys. But again, it always comes down to let's vote out a weaker woman so we can do better in the challenges, and they always keep the guys even. So a guy being voted out first, especially a strong guy, is very rare. Almost never happens. So and then Hannah and Brandon, and there's a guy who looks like kind of like Napoleon Dynamite. And then there's a guy who is basically every nerd in the last couple seasons rolled into one. He goes by Brando. His name's Brandon, but he goes by Brando because there always a Brandon. Because we can't have unique names even on the show. So, and I can't remember what the tall weedy guy's name is, but it doesn't matter. Either way, so we will wrap up here with what happened, how the vote went down with that. Before we do that, though, I do want to bring in Jessica, because we're going to go basically from Survivor into the Amazing Race. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks.
Welcome to the fun part. We're talking about Survivor, and then we're going to the Amazing Race. How are you feeling?
Oh, it's wonderful. I'm feeling okay.
Great. So let's go ahead and talk about it here. We'll dive in and, obviously finish up the Survivor part. Jessica will be with us sometimes with the Survivor part, but the Amazing Race is mostly where she's going to be doing her stuff.
Well, I barely pay attention to the Survivor because
Yeah.
a couple things, and then I walked away saying I can't deal with it. So
Yeah. So it kind of came down to it, and I said they haven't had well, let me finish with what happened. I'll give a couple final thoughts. People I like, people I don't like. The nerds always get a lot of airtime, so they always do, seem to do well. They always become pretty popular because they always get the same narrative. It's like not only do they get the same, not only are they carbon copies of each other, they get the same storyline. Right? I overcame adversity. I picked down when I was a kid. Blah blah blah. It's okay. Shut up. We all did. But anyways, so Brandon and Hannah are talking about how we can do hard things. Things are difficult. We can overcome them. And that was basically their whole storyline. And then they lose the tribal council. They lose the challenge, immunity challenge, and Hannah's like, oh, good, now I can get voted out and go home. Because I don't want to do this. Mm-hmm. I don't want to sleep in bamboo. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like, okay, a lot of people say that, but a lot of them don't actually go through with it. And so then they get the tribal council, and they don't want to vote out Hannah. They want to vote out Emily, and Emily wants to vote out Caleb. So they're kind of... Yes, exactly. So they're talking about it, and she thought he was a liar. So maybe she saw that video.
He wasn't even there.
Yeah. He wasn't even there at the challenge with Sabian Sweat. But anyways, so they're trying to decide who to vote out, and meanwhile, Brandon is getting upset because it's a second on Survivor. So he's getting upset and crying because, it's one of the 3 days that he was out there. And then Hannah's like, I don't really know if I can do this, blah, blah, blah. And then Jeff's talking to her, and she's like, they could vote me out if they choose to, but if they don't vote me out, I don't have to stay either.
Yep. And
so they're like, well, so what? And, it's like... So they're like, well, what do you guys want to do? Because they obviously didn't want to vote her out. They wanted to vote out somebody else. Obviously, somebody wants to quit day 1 or day 2 is not going to win the game. So you want to take that person in the end.
Right.
But so Jeff was interviewed, and he said, at that point, you got to just let them go because, you can't keep them in the game. They're going to quit at a more unopportune time and really screw you up. So if they want to go, just let them go. And which I agree with. So they decided, all right, fine, she doesn't want to be here. She can go. They didn't even vote. They said, all right, you can go. And she grabbed her torch and went up and Jeff put it out. And he said the tribe spoke, which is hilarious because the tribe didn't speak at all. He should have said, you have spoken. Mm-hmm. But it's also funny because when somebody quits, if it's a man, Jeff rips them a new asshole. Mm-hmm. If it's a woman, he's like, oh, it's okay. You're a sensitive little flower. You can't handle being out in the woods, you little wimp.
So wait, we gotta see what happens when a guy quits because he might do the same thing now. Yeah,
it's been a while since the guys quit, but...
They're all sensitive flowers now, everybody is.
I guess. Well, it's true, they all are. They said technically 18 people have quit. I don't know if I necessarily believe that.
Doesn't it count the medevacs?
Right, I don't think so. But also, for example, Dana on Philippines on Denise's season, technically quit even though her body was shutting down and she couldn't function. She didn't have anything medically that was pulling from the game.
But her body was shutting down, so technically it was medical.
But they said you could stay in the game longer. You don't have to leave today.
Oh, that's really freaking stupid.
And so she technically quit because she couldn't physically handle it.
I don't count that.
I don't either, but I think that's counted as a quit because it wasn't technically a medevac. So there's a lot of things that
Show had liability on their hand then.
Until she's medically has an issue, she's whatever. So I get it though. So they counted it as a quit, and then Jeff was saying afterwards. He said he wrote a letter back to casting. He says we need to change our casting because Hannah should not have been on the show. We missed something. To which I say, if the show's supposed to be hard, then shut up.
Anybody can tell you that they can handle everything, and you can believe them. Anybody can say that.
Right.
So how are you gonna find the person that's all of a sudden gonna shut down and decide that they're not gonna do this anymore? Because they're gonna lie to your face because they want to get on the show.
Right.
So.
Right. And the way I look at it, people are gonna want to be on the show. Like you said, so they're gonna say whatever they need to say. But more so, isn't an occasional quit good?
What?
The occasional quit good?
Guess. I mean, she's a therapist, though. She deals with lots of crap, and you can't handle this mentally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she used to sit in an office, air conditioned office all day, right? So.
I know, but might have met her, right?
Yeah. Well, what was it?
So
Tori.
Who's gonna go see her?
Remember Tori from that season? You didn't like her? Like the same thing.
No, because they can't. If you're in that field and you want people to listen to you, and you can't even handle something, how do you expect people to listen to you?
Right.
How?
Right. For sure. So and Tori was the way she was very young and naive. So same idea. But the way I'm looking at it now, it's like, you want Hannah on the show? No. Okay. But again, showing that the show is hard, and people sometimes quit, is okay.
Right.
In my opinion, I think it makes the show better if not everybody can just survive the whole time. And I get it. It was too early, and she just got in her own head. And that was the problem. If it was day 6 or 7 or 10, and she's not halfway there yet, and she's like, I can't go for another 2 weeks of this, fine. B, I don't remember that season from Nick's season. She got injured, and they said she doesn't necessarily have to leave the game, but she's like, I'm a professional fighter. I don't want to be injured and not be able to fight. So she quit.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Your career is more important than this show.
Yeah, and she wasn't going to win the show anyways. So. So again, I think the occasional quit is a good thing. It shows that people are, again, it shows that it's not easy. It's not anybody can just do it.
Right.
And again, I don't want people to quit. I don't want a bunch of quitters on the show, blah, blah, blah. And, that early is rough. You don't want it to be that early. Maybe, a couple weeks on the line, or a week down the line, because now it's only, the whole show's only 3 or 4 weeks now. But a couple episodes at least on the line, it's a little bit tougher.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't eaten in 10 days, then maybe. But this early, I don't want to sleep in bamboo. I don't want to be out in the rain. It hasn't even rained yet. I don't know. It's not great. Not a great look. Speaking of not a great look, they haven't on. So obviously Hannah's first one out. Whatever. There's a couple people who stood out. They said, but overall, it said that women on the One Tribe formed an alliance. Bruce was annoying. I guess kind of go figure. He's getting the Russell Swan edit a little bit from Russell was on Philippines also, another Philippines reference. Russell was just very dodo-y, and he was a returning player, but he didn't learn from his mistakes. He was doing the same things over and over again. And the only reason Russell stayed in the game the first time is because Tribe kept winning, and they got medevaced. And then the second Tribe, it was the complete opposite. He kept losing, and then he lost. So, I mean, that's kind of how he's being portrayed. He can't help himself but to be, the alpha and in charge and rub everybody the wrong way. Aside from that, though, they haven't had a theme season or a named season in a while. It's been numbers now. They've been named their seasons after famous numbers. 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, very original. I think I found a good name for the season, Jessica.
Yeah. What's that?
Survivor, Beta Male Island.
There you go.
What do you think?
Works.
There's been so much crying.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Brandon was crying, and then like I said, and it's and you keep casting younger people, and They don't want to go outside. They don't want to. They don't want to have to strive in the wilderness. Like they want to just sit on their couch and watch TV and play video games. So again, I sound like an old guy. I sound like a Gen Xer or a boomer from their previous seasons when they were talking about the younger tribe mates. But you keep casting younger people, you're gonna get a lot of people who can't handle it. Like the Brandon had a freaking panic attack trying to climb a ladder.
Mm-hmm.
Like come on, and he cried the entire episode. Like dude, what are you doing? It's just pathetic. It's really sad. And they said they keep casting. They're trying to cast more dynamic people, but I guarantee most of the people who are on the show aren't putting in videos.
Yeah.
Aren't putting in casting applications. They're just being selected because they check the right box, and then they put on the show, and then they like Jeff. You want to know why maybe Hannah was on the show and didn't work out? Maybe because you're casting the wrong people to begin with. There's plenty of people who would want to be on the show, but they may not. They may all look the same, or may all act the same. So you don't want to put them all on the show, and that's fine. I don't want all necessarily the same people either. But I want good characters, good people who are going to play the game well.
Yeah.
And because we're trying to cast so many archetypes, and we're changing how we cast, and we're changing the way things are. We're missing out on potentially good characters, good players, because they look too similar.
They all look similar now.
But and they're all like the exact same. Like Hannah is Tori.
Yeah.
And Brando is who do you look like? He looks like Derek from Amazing Race, but he also looks like all the other nerds who have been on the last couple seasons, right? I mean, you got so many people who are exactly the same, like identical almost. They almost look alike. So they're not memorable. You can't you can't tell them apart. Can't tell the difference between any of them, right? So it's like, why are we doing this? Why do we keep doing this?
You mean how Emily looks like that other guy?
Yes, Emily looks like that dude. Yes.
Pretty much.
So, I don't know, man. It's just not. It doesn't. They're all the same. There's nothing different about any of them. I mean, there are a couple people who, if you look at the last 4 seasons, how many people really stand out? That you can be like, okay, they're different. They're unique. They're fun. Carla, Jesse, Shan,
Lindsay. I remember Lindsay.
Yeah.
She was going up against Jonathan.
Right, Jonathan. Who's the nerd from last season? Carson, the space guy. And then of course, what's her face?
The athlete. I remember him too.
There's Danny, and then there was.
Not Danny. I remember Danny, but I'm thinking of the guy.
And then there's another Danny, and there's the other athlete. I don't remember what his name was now. There's the one who didn't get any votes at the end, who was really weird last season. Carolyn. Mm-hmm. Again, so there's been a few, but it's just there's not anybody who's really jumping off the page. Yeah. There's Deshaun, I remember, because I thought Deshaun Watson.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's there's not there's a few characters who are okay, they're really memorable, but so many of them are just the same. There's I know they cast similar, but it's just all this. There's so much they're just the same, and it's hard to really follow and hard to really want to follow. I said the show has been good in really in 4 seasons, and it's not starting out too strong with a person quitting day 3. But I guess again, if you want to look at it that way, it shows that the show isn't just easy. But also they had everything already cut down for them. They had all the palm fronds already cut down. So how hard was it? They didn't have to even cut anything down. They just had to roll the bamboo into this place and try to stack it and lay on it. I don't know. I just feel like they're casting a lot of wimpy people who aren't strong enough to handle anything, let alone surviving on your own. So. Yep. But one episode down. Okay, there's been a couple of standouts so far for episodes, but I don't really remember the players' names yet at this point. It's all pretty new. I didn't do much with the cast this season, previewing the cast, so I'm not really too up on anybody. But a few people who did okay. I said that the girls, the women from the Purple Tribe, seem to be getting their stuff together pretty well. And then So there's a couple nerdy guys who stand out, and that Cebu, whatever his name is, Sifu. He's like a ninja, whatever, he wants to be a ninja. Weird. So he's been, like I said, and so often too, these players, they come out just so on fire when they set the show. It's like, why don't you take 5 minutes and let the game come to you a little bit? Don't be just jumping head first in. And listen, they're all so excited to do it because the producers want them to, but the show, you can't do that because it's not gonna be good for you. Just let it ride a little bit. Don't overplay. So many players try to do that. It doesn't work. It's not good. So, but again, if they've seen the last few seasons, the players who win now, the players who don't do shit. Right? They don't make any moves. They don't do anything. So, don't do anything. Maybe you'll win. If you do stuff, you'll be good TV. But you'll lose. So I'd rather win. I don't care if I'm good TV. And obviously, I don't really have much to go on. Obviously, based on the cast, there's the attorney from Boston who's super annoying. Go figure. And then there's the other attorney on that cast who was pretending not to be an attorney. And there's another attorney who used to be like a painter or stay-at-home mom who painted or whatever. So she's saying that's what she does, whatever, basket weaving, some BS like that. But she went back to school as now an attorney of some kind or whatever. So I'm gonna pick Katura, the one attorney, who's pretending not to be an attorney. So I don't know anything about any of these people, but that's what I'm gonna throw out there and go from there. Speaking of so again, as we learn more about the cast of different players, I'll spend a little more time talking about them and getting to know them. But for now, we'll leave it there, and we'll shift gears to The Amazing Race, and try to keep Jessica awake. Or just
Alan's gonna sink. Everybody's gonna lose the end.
Not gonna happen. We've been saying that for years.
Yeah, I know.
But like I said, if you want to make it interesting, put landmines out there. See what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways.
Panthers, some lions.
Oh yes. Do Survivor Africa without the berm.
There you go.
Ooh. And then hide the idols in the freaking caves where the lions are. Oh yeah. Want to find an idol? You're gonna earn it, MFer.
Find Private Rock.
Yes. Cool. Switching gears from bad TV to better TV.
Mm-hmm.
The largest cast of The Amazing Race ever. Interesting. We're not going to do too much power ranking on this one. Again, we're going to talk about the first episode a little bit, where they went, what happened a little bit, and then kind of how it transpired. Some highlights, some lowlights, and kind of go from there. As we get into more of the cast, and the cast is a couple weeks old, we'll spend a little more time on it. And all the players individually. But let's go ahead and talk about what are your highlights and lowlights from The Amazing Race so far?
It's been fun. There's some teams that I don't dislike, so that's always a good thing.
Sure.
A bunch of teams that I could prefer not to. He highlighted again how there will be no non-elimination legs this year, so continue like last year. They added back the... what was it?
Express Pass.
Yeah, Express Pass to, what is that? Forgo the roadblocks in any
roadblock or any detour you can
that you want to
forego.
Yeah, in an episode. So there's that. They started off in Hollywood, so that was cool. Trying to think, they went to Bangor, right? No,
Bangkok.
There you go. Close enough. Yeah, so I went to Bangkok.
Bangor, Maine.
Bangor, Maine. Yeah, it sounds the same. Sorry, got a headache. Concussion yesterday.
Great.
But I enjoyed the episode. Something different.
Yeah, the first challenge, Derek and Claire were there to hand out the clue, which you love seeing them again.
Oh, love it. Didn't want my team to win that last year, but that's all right.
You won the year before, and I never win anyways.
So, yeah, I know. I always lose.
I always lose.
Pretty much.
Jessica who always beats me and everything.
Sometimes.
So they end up in Thailand. They had figure that out. What teams do you like so far? What teams do you not like so far?
I'd have to look up the names again, but I said at first I wasn't really sure about the father-son team, but that's probably my favorite team so far.
The deaf guy and his son.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That one, they're great. I wasn't sure how it was going to work out, who's going to drive, who's going to navigate all that stuff, but obviously, like you said, they've done it his whole life and all that. So that's been pretty cool to see and see that them doing pretty well.
Yeah, they
during it.
finished, top 3, top 4.
Yeah.
Or second, maybe.
Yeah, they were second. Yeah. Because the first one, I don't mind them either. Husband and wife.
Asian couple.
Yep, they own their own business and stuff. They did really well. And, they even tried to help. Pretty sure it was them that was trying to help some of the other teams when they were doing that, not roadblock. Which one was it?
Roadblock, yeah.
The roadblock, when unscrambling letters and stuff. And they tried to help some of them, and the one guy didn't listen, and they ended up being second last, actually, that team. I'm trying to think. I mean, those two are pretty much the ones that I have liked so far. Obviously, there's some that I have not liked, and some, we'll see how they end up doing.
Yeah. The one husband and wife, they said they had a rough relationship,
Yeah.
I feel like he cheated on her.
Probably.
But we'll see. I don't know. I'm sorry. It seems like that way.
She's the one that brought it up, so.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. And then the other one's two best friends, one whose husband passed away.
Yeah, you were, man, oh man.
Yeah. I was getting judgy before I heard the story.
Yep. Then I started crying, so yeah. That was a tough one. I like them too.
They're not gonna win, but
no, they didn't do too great, but I don't mind them as a team.
There's another Military Brothers, but they're
I
different.
Like them too.
They're not as I don't like as much the ones.
Not them. The brother, the two brothers I like.
Oh yeah.
I think they're like tech.
They
guys. Do IT or whatever. Tech guys. Yep. I like them too.
They're doing well. The Military Brothers aren't doing as well, but the tech guys seem to be doing decently well.
Yeah.
So that's good. And then there's
the mother and daughter one.
Mm-hmm, mother and daughter one.
Not very great.
No, yeah, they didn't do well.
No, they got a Dodo.
Yep.
Music.
Dodo edit for sure.
Yeah.
Who got eliminated? Do you remember?
Yeah, Sheridan and I forgot her name.
Yeah, the brother sister who have a very weird relationship.
Live together, and I don't think they just live together.
Alexandra and Sheridan, they feel like they're inbred. Yeah. I'm not saying they're gonna be. I'm not saying they're inbred, but they're definitely not inbred.
It's very awkward. Very awkward.
I'm not saying they're inbred, but they're definitely not inbred. So
I mean, it's like, are they twins or something though? Like they're close, but just it's a weird vibe.
Very weird
from them together.
They have weird sexual tension between them.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Weird.
Alexandra and Sheridan. His name's Sheridan, which is weird.
Sheridan. Yeah. That was weird.
Yeah, they're definitely strange. There's always the newly dating couple. There's always the married couple. There's always and then obviously there's a bigger cast this season. So 13 teams down to 12 now. We'll see how it goes.
Then not a lot of probably continuation legs, I'm assuming.
No, probably maybe one. Yeah. But there shouldn't be too many. There's obviously no non-elims. Yeah. There's going to be a vote later on the season for a U-turn.
Oh yeah, the U-turn that you have to vote for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a public vote too, which would be interesting.
Yeah.
They've done something like that similar before.
I remember that too. Them doing that before.
You don't remember? You do? Yeah.
No, I do.
It was good.
Vote. Yeah.
So it helps be nice now knowing that's going on.
I mean, a lot of the teams are already friendly-ish with each other. Like I said, they were trying to help each other with the unscrambling, and the guy figured it out and said, as long as I can get ahead of everybody, he would give the answer, and he did. And it was just interesting how the team settled after that. But I mean, that wasn't the last portion anyways. That was when they were still in Hollywood, isn't it? Yeah, yes. That was to determine who's going to get on the flight first.
Yep, for sure.
So yeah.
We'll see how it goes. I said Amazing Race has been more low-key, more fun. What were the challenges? I did the tightrope walking to...
Tightrope walking to unscramble. That got their clue to where they were going to travel to go to the airport. And then in Thailand, they had to either learn a sword routine or they had to withstand a massage for 30 minutes.
A Thai massage, yeah. Painful.
Yeah, a very painful massage that I was cramping just watching it, so no, I'm good.
And then there was other ones that were the ones who won the expressway. So they were friends, or I think, right? Not sisters.
Yeah, they were. No, they're sisters.
Oh, sisters. Yeah.
Those two are sisters. Yeah. And they had to eat all the freaking bugs, and it's not worth it. That would never be me worth eating. a tarantula and
bunch of grubs
and crickets, and no thank you.
And they won it, and they won the express pass because they were the first ones to get there, and then they obviously they got through it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And they didn't fall too far behind, which is important.
No, they didn't. Because a lot of people were getting lost in certain points.
Yeah. So navigation is always important. Reading your clues is always important. And then just when the margin is close, you gotta perform well in the challenges. And sometimes it's I think the reason that those two lost to Sheridan and Alexander, I think they got lost, didn't they? At least once.
They might have gotten lost once, but I don't know. They did not want the massage. They'd rather do the sword fight, and then they just weren't getting it and just didn't decide to go anywhere else.
Yeah. So.
Which usually switching isn't a good thing, but in this case, it might have helped them. Who knows? I don't know. But you're talking about navigation, when you're navigating yourself versus someone from that country driving you somewhere, obviously them driving you can be better, but at the same time, they can hit traffic and different things. So it's like,
sure.
I don't know which one is better for everyone is, navigating themselves or having someone, a taxi or something, take them somewhere.
Yeah, I also know where charter flights, which is good. They actually get on actual commercial flights. Now, which is nice.
Yeah.
I prefer that a lot, and yeah, I said there's some. I think there's always the tasks that come up, and it's a lot of times it's a choice between something that it's just a skill, learning a skill, or having a skill, or B, enduring something or doing something physical.
Yeah.
Right. And in this case, it was, can you endure this thing? And I said the one husband wife couple, they endured the challenge. I remember all the names. It's a lot of names.
Yeah.
But
they half endured the challenge, and he kept saying, wait, and then the masseuse stopped, and they had to start over again.
Right.
Yep.
And that's the problem, because if you stop, that you have to start back over 30 more minutes.
And there was only 5 slots, so if all 5... there were 5 teams there, you had to wait until it was over, and you didn't know how long that was going to be.
That did happen, too, once.
Did.
So...
For the mother-daughter team that switched tasks.
Yeah, they were almost last.
I know, they didn't switch tasks. They were going to go to the sword fight, but they got lost. Yeah. And they did the massage and ended up being fine anyways.
Yeah, they ended up surviving. But yeah, it was rough. And I said, so if that was going to take 30 minutes, if you messed it up, or you can't handle the pain or whatever, then you have to wait 30 more minutes, unless you have to go back to the back line and wait even longer.
Yep.
Whereas if you can learn the skill quickly, you're done in less time. But if it takes you longer, the massage, if you can endure, is only going to be 30 minutes. It's going to be at least 30 minutes, but it's also going to be only 30 minutes. Whereas the other one could be a minute and a half or 3.5 hours.
Right. Well, like the one team, I think they were friends.
Yeah.
The 2 women that did the sword thing, and they weren't getting it, so they left. And they went and did the massage, and they were fine. They survived, but... it seemed like their biggest qualm was they couldn't figure out which end of the sword, of the wooden sword, was the sharp end, and I don't know. I feel like they probably could have did it. They just weren't thinking in what way, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah. So either way, as the next couple episodes go along, we'll get to learn the teams a little bit more, and names and that. Obviously, we didn't do a ton of research before the season started this season. Just didn't want to put all that time investment into it, and there's a lot of players.
Just don't have a ton of extra time all the time. Sure. Yeah.
And as I said, a lot of it is just there's a lot of new names. There's 13 teams. It's hard to keep them all straight.
Hour and a half show.
Right. And they don't necessarily flesh them out as much as you like to get to know the different players. Survivor's the same way. Again, they're all the players are basically it's like it's this person, but it's from season 45. It's this person, but it's from season 45, right? So it's like, take the person from season 41, 42, 43, 44, and it's that person in this season, right? And so it's like how it is, and it's how it is on Amazing Race now too, kind of. So it gets very, confusing. And then the team almost last were they the boyfriends? Is that the one?
No, those were also military guys that they fought, and then the one got injured, so the guy with the beard you're talking about, the older guys. Yeah, they were the ones that the Asian couple, the Asian guy, tried to help them with the clue, and he didn't believe him,
Right,
and then they ended up being second last in the show, where he probably could have gotten out a lot sooner, because I think he was last out of the unscrambling thing too.
Yeah. So again, a lot to talk about. We'll dive in more within the other teams a little bit better and like that. We'll have it a little more succinct. But right now we're just kind of getting to feel for it, and we'll see how the format goes. Maybe we'll change the format up again at some point. I'd like to go back to the power rankings on the Amazing Race at some point again, but for now,
maybe when it's cut down a little lower in teams. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. But again, we'll see how it goes. We'll see who we like and who does well. And again, with both shows, it's a lot of names, a lot of new stuff being thrown at you, so it's a little bit difficult. So we're trying to weed through it ourselves and give you the best recap we possibly can with all that information.
Let's be honest. How can you give a good recap of Survivor, though?
I know. So
that's just me.
Be sure to subscribe to us. Anything. Look at our Facebook page, Pavement Road Productions. So it's Pavement Road Prod, Facebook.com/Pavement Road Prod. You can email the show directly, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Subscribe, share the post, tell your friends. And we'll be back as soon as we can. We'll try to be back on time. It's going to try to get on Thursdays every week going forward. May not happen. We got a lot of traveling this week, and then a couple weeks we have some traveling again. So we're not going to get them out when we're gone. We'll just try to get out either 2 episodes at a time or do two pretty quick. However we want to do it. I'm not really sure. But we'll figure that out as we go. But there's going to be some weeks where we're going to have them out later than normal, and it's unfortunately going to be the way it is for the next little bit. But the plan is to get them out Thursdays, watching some of the show Wednesday, watching the next one Thursday, during the day, and then recording in the evening on Thursday is kind of the plan. But we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
And again, if I have to, I'll get out the Survivor stuff, and then I'll just let Jessica jump in on the Amazing Race stuff, and then that way we can save a little time on the recording. But again, I don't want to
have more to say anyways.
Right. And I said, and I want to have a format to these shows, so it's not just random words coming out of my face hole. But also don't want to have it be such a strict format that it's going to take 3 hours to go through.
Yeah.
Right.
And random words are always come out of your face hole, so I don't know how you're going to control that, but
yeah, it's a challenge.
It's a challenge.
It is a challenge. So, anything else, Jessica, before we wrap it up here?
No, I don't think so.
Cool. So I think a great way to end this then.
Yeah, you say one, I say the other, right?
Yes. I'll say mine, and then you say you end it. Because it's the order the show's going, right?
Yes.
Make sense?
Yes, I already knew. Yes.
Perfect, Jessica. We're on the same page sometimes.
Listen, I'm the 2 of the 2.5 brains, so.
Unless you have a concussion, then you're like 1.5 or 0.
Probably 0 right now. We'll see.
Great. Hope you don't have a concussion.
Hope not.
All right. Well, on that cheerful note, I know one thing. I got nothing else for you. Because the tribe has spoken.
And safe travels.